Started everything over. So I pulled off my topper, and it's been a few days since I've been able to get back to this, but there is a little bit of mold growing, and it happens on the purple for some reason the most, purple and the green. Scrape it off just like cheese. It doesn't matter. As long as it's not like super moldy, you're good. But I will come back in, get some moisture on this. And after, this is it for today. We're gonna finish this thing up. And after that, I'll put this back in the refrigerator. It'll last a super long time. Right now, I'm gonna unroll my paintbrushes. They've also been about a week. They're all still moist to the touch. Just get a little bit of water on them, soak them, stick them on my palette. And then what we are going to do is get prepared. Normally when I paint, I usually stand the entire time, but I hacked up my knee the other day, and so I've been sitting. Anyway, the painting still, it'll look kind of dull. I don't think my camera images are exactly right, but the first thing I want to do is probably, I'm going to come back in some of these darker areas with that rigger brush. I want to get some blue, some of the burnt umber, which is finally not so curdled. I want this super dark touch of moldy purple. But I do want to come back in, and again, like I said, you can do a ton of stuff on your own, but I'm just going to accentuate some of these boards. And if you wanted to, you could come in if you want to and put boards going this way, slats. Like, let's say there's a board there, ends there. And now I'm into it. Now I gotta go ahead and do a lot of these. So, okay, let's just go ahead and darken these up. Put some more holes at the bottom. The piece that goes across here, maybe there's a one that goes here. You get the idea what you can do. I like the nail holes too. I don't particularly, so there's one I don't like and it's still just put on there, so I'm just going to take some water and try and rub that one away because I don't like it. Oh, I see what I did. I rubbed too hard, but that's an easy place to come in and now put a hole in the wood. And this, you don't want to put too much detail in stuff like this. What ends up happening is that's what drags your eye to the painting, or things like that stick out blatantly. So, anyway, I think the building looks rough enough. I'm going to come back in with my dark, get back underneath this hood, get that nice and dark. Can't see the old engine. What is this? I think this is a D3000 or something like that. I'll find out the year too. Come back in, add these slats, like it's hit a couple of cows or deer along the road. So they're not going to be perfect. And good enough underneath the highlight, or the shadow underneath the lens. That I can consider to be done. Just get some of this dark off my brush. Good. And I think I'm going to be good with that with my script brush. And now I want to come in and grab this number 4 sable brush, this 4 sable, and I really want to put in some highlights on this truck. So I'm going to take the vivid lime green, which is getting all curdled up on me because I didn't use it. So the vivid lime green, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of that brilliant blue, touch of gesso. I want this bright and I want it thick. See how much paint I've got on the brush there? So now I'm gonna come in here and just pop this up. And it needs more, believe it or not, it needs more of the gesso and the blue, because the color is a little bit too green. There we go, that's better. But thick. And there we go, it's a better color. I'll have to let that dry a little bit right there and come back in on it. The white, the blue, the gesso. Nice, love the shadows here. And it stops right there. Again, you can detail. I'll do, hopefully, if you guys enjoy these, I'd be happy to do one where I do get super detailed with it. I mean, it can get boring. This obviously has taken a long time. Shouldn't have taken as long as it has. I keep messing around with technology stuff, but it doesn't need to take this long. But a real detailed one, I know, like Andrew Tish, he's a great artist. I admire the guy a great deal. I do follow him, and he's fun to watch. I learn a ton from him. So shout out to you, Andrew. He's a detail. He's a super hyper realistic detail kind of guy. I'm not so much. I just like to get an overall feeling of a painting and enjoy the process of making something out of nothing. I think it's cool. Come back and skip along here. This is real bright, some bright areas right in here on the. And then the door, but the door's got rust on it now. So we're gonna come back in now, and more than likely, that's an undershadow, but I do want a little bit of light right here. Now I'm gonna take the same thing with this. I'm gonna take some burnt sienna, pure burnt sienna. I wanna come back in and lay this in here kind of thick. I'll add a lighter layer to it here in a minute. But right now, there's always rust down by the door. And where else we got? We got some rust coming up off the side of the hood. We got rust back here on the wheel well. Too much rust. That would have fallen apart. But smear it around. Nobody will know. And now I want to take some burnt sienna and some gesso, and I want again, it's thick, and I've got some of the gesso in there, and then where the rust is, I can see rust on top of the hood, right in through here. Where else? And then right down in through here. And the roof is rust. This part right here is just all rusted. So I want to grab a little bit of the rust look. Where it starts to get dark. And a little more of the dark rust over here. And then dripping down the door. I have an old 69 C10 pickup truck. Looks like an old clapped out beater, but it's got stuff in it that makes it a very fun car. I like it a lot. Last thing I want to do on the truck is grab a little bit of orange. It's got these little turn signal indicators, and this is just pure orange. I want to come in here, dab in some of that pure orange, and there you go. You have a 60s Dodge pickup truck. I'll take, one more thing I'm going to do. I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to take pure white, and I'm thick. I'm going to put that on real thick right here where the headlights shine. And now, when you stand, 6 feet, however many feet away, your eye will finish doing all the stuff I didn't do to the painting. I am going to add a little bit of highlight to the top of the roof. Like so. A little bit of highlight back here. Touch of highlight where the sun is hitting it directly. And actually, we'll do a little bit right here. And a little bit right there. Right where the sun is hitting the bright spots. Maybe, see, you could just get caught up going through this all day long. A little bit right there. I am going to leave well enough alone except for my bumper. I do want to get a little bit more highlight on the bumper. Right where it comes across, the sun's coming, it's up right here. And one more. Sunlit area. Okay. Cool. Now, let's go ahead and start with the grass. I'm going to come with this number 4 sable brush. I'm going to get some grass in here, but we're going to do this a little bit different than we did last time. We are going to come in, get this thick. So I have pure vivid lime green, I got yellow, and I have gesso. And it's thick on the brush. And then just come in here and just start dabbing in where I'm going to pull up. I'm kind of making a brush stroke to pull the grass up. Where the sun is shining on this grass. Kind of just getting an indication at the moment of where it's going to be. And then we'll come back in with either that rigger or a number 4 sable brush. I haven't decided yet. But let's just get this kind of started. I got my tree there, the shadow. I'm going to grab a touch of orange and add to that. And then there's going to be a shadow there, so I want this is going to be bright grass here. Let's take that same bright greenish yellow, add a touch more white to it, come back in here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that smaller number 4 sable brush, load my paintbrush up a lot, and this is where you can come in and dabble in some bright spots in here. It's almost white. You just got to tint it with the color you want it to show through. I want a little more white and yellow. And this is where you could take your time and do, add a bunch of leaves in, little comma brush strokes. But then you get this sparkly little area going on. It looks cool. You could add more branches. You could add a dead tree. There's so much you can do with stuff like this. I'm just trying to, again, I'm new to doing this. I'm trying to get this done so that you can get started and just enjoy some painting on your own. And hopefully you come out with a masterpiece. Okay, now I think I am going to grab, if I can find it, my sable brush, which I believe is in my truck. Goodness. All right, so I don't have my number 4 long-haired sable rigger, so I'm going to have to use a synthetic, which I like the sables better because they hold more material. They get wet and they just seem to hold more material. But now anyway, let's give this a shot. Come in here and just start making up some loops of grass. Pull it in front of the truck. Don't worry about all the work you did getting the body straight. Vary that up a little bit by adding some orange. Don't be afraid to pull these weeds up. Hi, this is a weedy area. So much stuff grows back here. It's just nuts. Keep refilling your brush. But you can see we couldn't see the direction of the... Now I'm going to take the same brush. I'm going to take some dioxazine purple, some Hooker's green. I just want that dark green color, like Indian ink. I want it a little bit darker than that. And where this tree goes, I'm going to put some grasses up in here. This is where my shadow from the tree is crossing. Okay, jump back, maybe take a little bit of that dark, and there's going to be some darker weeds coming on the back side of these bright ones. You'll see lights and darks, but I want the majority of the dark to be right in through here where that shadow goes across. Come back to my light. Just vary up this color a little bit. I'm adding some orange to it. And now I'll start to pull some of these in front. Take even a little bit of Hooker's green, add it in there. I want to get that vibrant, bright yellow, thicker paint. A couple of spots in here. Yeah, this brush does not work as near as good as my sable, but that's okay. And this just takes some patience. All right, that's what I'm going to do there for now. I'm going to come back to my number 4 bristle brush. I'm going to grab some gesso and a touch of orange, thick. And again, come back in and do some of that. Basically, when you're doing an acrylic painting, you have to get it to really pop out and be vibrant and stay vibrant, you have to leave it thick. Otherwise, when it dries, if you put it on thin and it dries, it's just going to get dull. So you have to, when you want it to really pop and stand out, you have to put it on kind of thick blobs on the final highlights. So that's what I am doing. But I am not blocking up all my little holes in the dirt, so there still looks like there's some texture. I'm going to start getting it more vivid. Start down here. Add more gesso as I come closer to where I was. Still more gesso. Now vivider. And kind of leave my corner alone. All right. Again, I'm not happy with the number 4 sable or the number 4 nylon brush. I really wish I had my number 4. Let's see if I have anything else I could use to demonstrate that. Not really. So I'm going to come back into this dark green, take some of this black that I have sitting here. I'm just going to have to do these a little slower. These grasses are thicker. I want to get this outline, and you're closer to them too. So Hooker's green, purple, taking some of my black mess I got here. Yeah, it does not do the job that the sable brush does, but oh well. You can make anything work. You can paint. Give me any kind of paintbrush. Make it work. If you want to paint, you'll paint with what you got. That's kind of the fun of figuring it out. And I'm going to come in here and add a little more black or dark in between so it looks like a shadow in there. Actually, that shadow should come down about to here. That's better. One huge thing I learned a long time ago was to get up, stand back, look at what you've done. Because, again, your viewing of painting is not going to be, not that many people are going to be 12 inches away from your painting. Most people are going to see a painting from across the room, hanging on a wall, hopefully, probably being displayed somewhere. And so you don't need to have every blade of grass perfect. I might even come back here and put some grass, smaller grasses up alongside the building. I am just squiggling over. I don't want the hard line that I see I've got going from where I got it dark. I'm just trying to get rid of that and get it blended in. If that's what you see me just going up and down, back and forth, that's the reason. Because now I will take some green, pure Hooker's green, and get it smushed up good. I will take some orange with my Hooker's green and then get it a soup consistency again. And come back over top of this. And that's not light enough. That's okay. I'm just going to add some varying color here. Now I'll get some gesso. More green. I'm just avoiding, on this close one, I'm avoiding that vivid lime green. That is not going to be, that'll be good. There we go. Now I might take my time a little bit more with this brush. And again, this is, you don't want this to be a focal point. This is just a way to stop the eye from, make sure you pull some that are down below coming up on the canvas. And I do have a tendency, in when I paint, I pull all my grass strokes going that way on this side and coming this way on that side. And it's done. I do it. Jerry told me at one point, it's a way to draw the eye into a painting that way. But not always the case. And then bring some of that same color over here. And you could easily put some pebbles in the road, some rocks, some shadows on the pebbles, look really cool. But again, I ran out of time just because of all the issues I had trying to get this thing done. I'm going to come back to this really bright green, add a little bit of yellow to it, a little bit of gesso, and get some of these a little bit more defined. And a little finer. can see where if you spend a lot of time and just hours making, I've watched that Andrew Tischler guy spend hours painting 8 blades of grass. And, you know, it's great for his type of work. It's fantastic. But I don't know. I just like doing things the way I like doing them. Looking for areas where there's dark and it's a great place to pull up pieces of grass so that it looks like you can't see. You got to have some contrast somewhere to really get a good visual for the paint to stick out really well. And I think I'm going to take some pure green, see what that looks like. I don't like it. It's too pure green. Fix it. And now I'm going to take the hay back there, just add a little bit brighter to that yellow and brown mess. So yellow, burnt sienna, and gesso. Come on. My paint got all kinds of gooey because I let it sit for too long without putting it in the fridge. Now I'm kind of just nitpicking on things that I'm not super happy about, but this is where you just start taking your time. And you could piddle with this and play with it all day long. What ends up happening to me a lot of times when I do that is it turns to mud. And I overdo. I've seen a lot of paintings where students will just get obsessed with, they could get obsessed with this hay and just sit here and do this for hours. And then it looks like that when you go and you stand away from it. Wow, I can see where you spent days and days working on the hay, but everything else you kind of disregarded. That does happen frequently, so keep that in mind. I am going to jump back on the truck. I just want to get that. I'm not super happy with that, so I'll come back into that blue, brilliant blue, vivid lime green, gesso, and get some. I think this needs to have more highlights on it, and I'm not going to be enough. So I might take just pure gesso, and where I can see the sun peeking in on there, I can see a little bit right there, a little bit along that line. You want to be real careful using pure white. You get too much of it and you're just going to get, it's just going to look like chalk. But this, if you just add dabs of it, they look like glitters, sparkles, and it's just a way to, and more in that headlight, it's just a way to get some really good highlights done. And I think one more time with that on the front of the truck. on these brows of the hood, and maybe just a touch up here and along here. Well, again, I think I am going to call this one done. It is definitely not perfect. It is a good, I think it's a good lesson painting. It's an easy one to do. Maybe, see, here's where I'm going to piddle. Like I think that, just stuff like that. And especially when you're coming back with the dark, that's where I have fun, when I'm just sitting by myself, not trying to talk to a camera and keep the cameras going and all that kind of stuff. Is when I'll come back, and I like getting paintings to this point where, okay, now I can really start nitpicking this thing and making it look the way I had in my mind. See, now I'm getting off. There we go. Yeah, so there's that. Another tree, I don't think I'll do another tree. But I think that all right, I am going to, I like red, so what I'm going to do is come down here if I can. Oh, my paint got gooey, my goodness. I'm just going to come down here and put in my signature. And then I'm going to take, I always want to put a little bit of that color that I use in my signature somewhere in the painting so that it does not look out of place. All right, well, I am going to call that done. And I would like to, if you join me and follow it along, I want to tell you how much I appreciate it. If you have suggestions, what would you like to see painted? Was this too fast? Did I not show you enough? Is there some subject matter you would like to try painting? I'm open to anything. I'm hoping to get started doing these on a monthly basis. And with your help, I can, learn to grow and do that. I love to teach painting. I love to be with students doing this and answering questions and helping them along, and actually watching the different ways everybody does things. So if I can do anything different on this, please leave me comments. Please be nice. Stay nice. And I'll try and get another one. If I get some suggestions from you guys, I'll pick one and I'll do one on the next time I do it online. And I'm hoping to do one next month. So the sooner the comments, the better. Thanks for joining me, and I appreciate it. Everybody stay safe. We'll talk to you.